nuclear provocation as a last resort. How the program Big Game constructs the image of an existential threat. The program Big Game, dedicated to the alleged impending Ukrainian nuclear provocation, is a prime example of how Russian state television is expanding the scope of the conflict, shifting it from the realm of military and diplomatic disputes to the realm of an existential and global threat. Claims of a dirty bomb, nuclear blackmail, and the involvement of Western intelligence agencies serve a strategic rather than an informative function. They set the context in which any further Russian actions appear justified. 1. Legitimizing accusations through military authority. The key element of the plot is the speech by the chief of the radiation, chemical, and biological defense troops of the Russian armed forces. The use of this figure is crucial. This is not a journalistic commentary or a political opinion, but a statement by someone institutionally associated with expert knowledge and security issues. Moreover, no verifiable evidence is presented, no mention of independent sources or international structures. Accusations are framed in terms of existing methods, possible routes, and likely scenarios. This creates the effect of credibility without verification. The audience is encouraged to trust not the facts, but the speaker's status. Kyiv is most likely preparing some kind of provocation related to nuclear technology, nuclear power plants, or a dirty bomb. Let's hear from Alexei Ratishchov, chief of the Russian Federation's Radiation, Chemical, and Biological Defense Forces. This is his press conference today. Ukraine's activities in the area of radiation safety, including Kyiv's attempts at nuclear blackmail, raise no less serious concerns. Yermakul, the former head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, plays a special role in this. He personally oversaw the organizational, logistical, and financial flows for the import of spent nuclear fuel into Ukraine without notifying the IAEA and other relevant organizations. The supply routes were organized through Poland and Romania. This creates the risk of creating a so-called dirty bomb and then using it under a false flag. This is evidenced by the training methods for SBU representatives at our disposal. 2. The dirty bomb motif as a tool of moral escalation. The dirty bomb theme occupies a special place in Russian propaganda. In this episode, it is used as the ultimate argument, transforming the conflict into a threat to the mass civilian population. It is important to note that Ukraine is portrayed as a party willing to knowingly resort to radioactive contamination. The false flag scenario is emphasized, meaning an explanation for possible incidents is laid out in advance. The mention of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and Chernobyl appeals to deeply rooted fears in the European consciousness. This technique creates the impression in the viewer that this is no longer a dispute over territory or sovereignty, but rather an unpredictable and immoral party capable of doing anything. 3. Repetition of accusations as a substitute for evidence. It is specifically emphasized that this is not the first or second such attempt, but at least the fifth. The classic logic of propaganda is employed here. Frequency of repetition replaces empirical confirmation. The viewer is not asked to recall specific episodes, their results, or the conclusions of international investigations. The very assertion of repetition becomes evidence. If they catch you red-handed regularly, then guilt is a priori obvious. 4. Expanding the circle of guilt, Ukraine as a puppet. After the initial accusation against Kyiv, a standard expansion of responsibility occurs. The narrative introduces Great Britain as a curator, the European Union as a force not interested in peace, abstract globalists controlling the media space. This allows us to solve several problems at once. Remove Ukraine's subjectivity by portraying it as an executive executor of someone else's will. Integrate the conflict into the broader confrontation between Russia and the West. Explain why any peace initiatives are allegedly sabotaged. As a result, the war is portrayed not as a regional conflict, but as part of a global conspiracy against the stability of Eurasia.